All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Pound for Pound Combat Sports Podcast. We're back for episode 3. We have UFC and boxing to cover, and then a little bit of drama regarding Ryan Garcia and the PEDs. But first, we're going to introduce our third podcast member. His name is Mikey, and we're going to let him introduce himself right now.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Mike, and a little bit how I got into combat sports, but mostly boxing is that I was like what 11, passed by a boxing gym, and I'd see the jump rope, and I'd be like, man, they could kick your ass. I'm like, please. And we got into it, and then later on, I started going. At the age of 13, I started to do amateur boxing all the way up until 17. And yeah, that was pretty much my life. So anything boxing, pretty much love. And then I started getting into UFC also after that. So the first fighter I actually saw was the Korean Zombie. So big shout out to him. But afterwards, it just took over. And then started seeing Conor McGregor. I know people have a lot to say about him, but that's one of my favorite guys. I mean, what much you say? He's the double champ, the first one.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we should get right into it, right? We were gonna start with UFC 300, and I caught most of the main card, but did you catch the prelims too, Brandon? I know you were watching that.
Yeah, I watched pretty much all the fights. I wasn't like fully tuned into all of them, but I caught a piece of every fight. But
You
we
know,
can
you
cover
you
the
think
prelims quickly.
yeah, or unless you think there's like a noteworthy prelim, because I know we're gonna cover a lot today. So,
Yeah, I'll
if you
just go
just
through
if
them
you want to,
quick. Let's see. First fight of the night was pretty good. We got Costa versus Borjas. Um, that was kind of a banger to start the card. Costa, it was back and forth, but Costa ultimately was able to like drop him with a leg kick and then knock him out. And then we had Bonfim versus Pichel. That was kind of pretty good fight too. Bonfim, he it looked like he should have got the finish, but Pichel just never quit. This Barbosa versus Kirk, I forgot his their name. Ernesta. That was a decent fight. I think this Barbosa girl, she's gonna be really good up and comer. She's only 22 and she looked really good. Mauricio Rufy. This was another. I think this was his first fight in the UFC. He surprised me because he was fighting a pretty decent fighter in Jamie Malarkey, but yeah, he came out with a capoeira leg kick, which I'd never seen to start a fight, and then he even did like a little ninja sweep where he did like a takedown. But yeah, so this was like a nice up and comer, and he was able to get the finish. Look pretty easily, in my opinion, which was surprising because Malarkey's pretty tough. But that's it for the early prelims, and then we got into the main prelims. The Silva close fight I didn't get to see too much, but there was a pretty pretty funny part where Joaquim Silva actually had like he jumped guillotine and then Jakar just I don't know if you guys saw it, but he did like a reverse body slam and then he like slammed
mhm.
him into a mounted guillotine, which is pretty funny. But somehow he was able to get out of that and get away with the unanimous decision. Um, is there any fighters you guys see here that you're interested in?
I think we could go straight to the main card. I didn't watch any of the prelims. Actually, I went to go out to eat to watch the fights,
Oh
and I got
yeah.
there. Yeah, I got there at the main card.
All right, there was just one
Yeah,
more
same.
fighter. I made a mistake. I was talking about Barbosa earlier, but I meant this Lucindo. She's who I meant was the 22-year-old that's really freaking good. Like her striking was insane. She could fight out of both stances. But yeah, I think she's one of the fighters you want to be watching in the future. Let's see. Oh, I gotta talk about this one. Joe Anderson Brito. This fight was nuts because he just comes out and just kicks Jack Shore's leg like 100 times. I think he had like 25 leg kicks after the first or second round, and it was the first time I've ever seen a doctor stop the fight because of leg kicks. Like a doctor had to come in, because Joe Anderson Brito kicked Jack Shore's leg so many times, and one of the kicks actually opened up like a 2 inch cut on his shin, and the doctor actually had to stop the fight, which was like I've never seen anything like that. But
What the fuck? Based on a cut?
yeah,
It
it
was
was
crazy.
disgusting. Yeah, it was
You should have
brutal.
seen the picture. It was crazy.
Let me see if I
I
can
did
find
not
it.
see that. Yeah, because I know doctors they stop fights for cuts, but it's usually like in the face where it's impeding vision, and also like a broken nose. I've seen a doctor stop a boxing match for a broken nose before, and when your eyes get in shut swollen, they also holy cow.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I've
was
never seen
bad.
anything like that before.
It was really bad. It was like, and that's not even the worst part. Like before that, when you could see his shin, it was like black. Like I've seen like really bad bruising and redness, but I've never seen his shin turn black. And his shin was, it was the worst I've ever seen. But yeah, we'll move on from that one. Here's the main
Yeah, so
card.
there's the first
Yeah,
that's the
go
first
ahead.
fight I watched right there, the Pereira one. I didn't watch the Paul Craig.
Oh, you didn't. That one was
No.
just no. Yeah, Paul Craig was just over there throwing body kicks with his chin in the air, and Braulio was just clapping him. It was pretty embarrassing from Paul Craig. So and he got knocked out cold. So we'll skip that one. But what do you guys think about Michelle Pereira?
Dude, it was crazy. So it was kind of slow at first. They were just trying to set each other up, and then he hurt the other guy. The other guy went down. Then he did like a backflip or like a tornado twisting knee to the neck. Did you guys see that? They were thinking that it
Yeah,
might have hit the leg or the face. I mean,
yeah. I did see that. He was trying to do that like backflip into like a body shot. I think he's done it once before, but yeah, I thought it landed flush on the face, but I guess I rewatched it and I was like, I mean, technically it wasn't really his fault because when he was trying to do the flip, Patera's legs, like he pushed his legs up in the air and it like threw off Michelle's backflip. I don't know if you noticed that. So like it completely changed the trajectory of his flip. So then it like landed probably where he didn't intend to.
yeah. Hey, yo, Mikey, what do you think about that UFC rule where like you can't knee someone while they're down? Because that's what they were trying to argue when they were doing the replay to see if he got hit in the head while because he was on his back, right? So he was down. What do you think about that rule?
See, I don't really know much about that, but I think isn't it in like one strike or the other organization they could do that, right?
Yeah, one championship. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, they could do that. I don't know the impact it has, so I can't really say much about it.
Right. Yeah, we know like Mighty Mouse. He got KO'd with that new rule once he moved over to one championship. So it actually affected the way he fought. Right when you're going for takedowns or like whatever, some of the grappling guys they rest or they like some John Jones type shit where you put you're like crawling towards your opponent with your hands on the ground and like that he can't hit you because of the rule. I think it's pretty
Hmm.
dumb. I think they should get rid of it. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I think it's tricky. Like I think it should be allowed, but I don't know about soccer kicks. Soccer kicks is a little bit it's a little bit too extreme, honestly. Like because you can't really defend effectively against that because you can't really move around. Obviously, if you're grounded as well. But the
Right.
knees, I think the knees that's a little bit harder to land. So and I don't like how fighters can exploit that rule. Like Aljamain Sterling when he's on like
Hmm.
all fours, he just tries to like take advantage of that rule. And so yeah, I do not I don't like the part where you can exploit the rule, but like at the same time, I get why it's a thing. Like it's kind of goes to like the part where like you can't hit the back of the head or the spine because it's you can't really defend that area. And I guess when you're grounded, that position's kind of hard to guard against like a such an impactful shot. But I mean, it is MMA, so I mean, I don't. I think one
Yeah.
championship shows like it. Obviously, it's a dangerous strike, but like you still have to be able to land a knee, which isn't that easy. But like a soccer kick, that's kind of a different story.
Yeah, I always thought you couldn't hit to the back of the head from like a neurological perspective because like the brainstem is right there and that's where like controls heart your heart rate and breathing and all that stuff. So it's like a little more crucial area of the brain, you know. But no, I get what you guys are saying. We should definitely move on to the next fight, though.
Oh yeah, and then he got. I just want to say he got the sub, and then the ref's trying to run in and stop it. Like obviously, Pereira is not going to let go until the ref gets there, and then yeah, Ihor taps, and then the ref comes in like a half second to a second later, and then it's funny. Like it's not funny, but Ihor like goes out after he taps, and he just face plants. But we'll go on to this next fight. So this next one was Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino, which was a huge upset. Like if you can see the odds, it was minus 575 in favor of Petrino. I
Yeah.
think the odds for him to get a KO were like plus 100. Yeah, I
I
mean
don't know much about this guy. Do you know him, Mikey? The Vitor Petrino?
No, I've never seen him.
he's kind of a up
Yeah.
and comer, but he's like really explode. He kind of reminds me of Pereira, Michelle Pereira, where he's got the
Mhm.
power, explosion, um, dynamic striking. But man, it's kind of like preface. This is kind of like going into the last fight where we've got a really good striker, and out of nowhere he decides to go initiate a clinch, right? And
Yeah.
Anthony Smith just locks up a guillotine immediately, and yeah, that was the beginning of the end for Petrino. It's like, man, then the last fight something very similar happens, but a little bit different. But yeah, we'll go on to the next fight. We got the King of Rio, Jose Aldo, and Jonathan Martinez. What do you guys think about Jose Aldo?
Dude, he used to be a beast back in the day. What was that organization that was that was bought by the UFC? It started with a W.
Yeah,
I
it's
used to watch that all the time.
WEC.
Yeah, bro, he used to be a beast there, where he'd be like Chad Mendes and all those dudes. And then he was a beast in the UFC too. I liked him because, you know, he could grapple. He had some like nasty hands for the time, some nasty knees. But like you could definitely see that the sport is evolving. But he looked good, man. It looked like they were a little hesitant at first, but when Aldo let his shots go, he was definitely landing some bombs on Martinez. What do you guys think?
Yo, just a quick question though. So is Aldo one of the goats or what? Based on his acolytes.
I think he's better, one of the
Or
better featherweights for sure.
before Connor, he was referred to as like probably one of the the best, if one of the best, if not the best of his era, you know. And
Yeah,
then
he
Connor kind
was.
of after Connor, it
Because
kind of
because Aldo has had several comebacks.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, he like loses, he gets knocked out by some up and comers, and then he like defeats someone that he's not supposed to defeat at his age. And I think this is one of those cases, right, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, man, like when you look back at his career, I think his combined title reign for WEC and UFC until he lost to Connor was, I think, like 10 years, like something crazy like that, like a long, long title reign. And I mean, he never really got dominated by anyone besides, I guess, like towards the tail end of his UFC career. I guess he did lose some fights, but he's always been like a top contender, always really close to the title, and always looked pretty good in every fight he's had. Um, I think mentally that McGregor fight kind of just he needed like a reset, and I think he got that reset when he retired and went to just took a break from UFC because he came back and he looked as good as he's ever looked. I mean, he is fighting a weight class lower at bantamweight, so he does look kind of a little bit smaller, a little bit skinnier. But man, like the way he just came out and he just looked the same as he's looked before, I was surprised. I thought he would look a little bit slower, a little bit less. I mean, I don't know if I should say that, but he just did a lot better than what I was expecting.
Oh yeah, what is this Jonathan Martinez? What is he ranked right now in the
Um,
bantamweight division?
he was ranked 12, and it's interesting because Jose Aldo actually came out as the red corner. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
he wasn't even ranked. So I was kind of surprised by that. But and
so
he was the
you
underdog
think he's
too.
like a top 10 now?
Yeah, I think he's right back in the mix. Top, he'll probably be ranked like 11 or 12. Maybe they'll rank him higher based off of his previous UFC fights. But this Jonathan Martinez. The thing is, like, Jonathan Martinez is a good fighter. Like, he's stopped multiple guys from leg kicks alone. Like,
Really?
yeah, like on some crazy stuff. Like, he would. I watched his last fight, and he just kicked this guy's leg so many times. The guy just pretty much quit.
Damn. No,
He
I was seeing the highlights. You know how in between fights they play past fight highlights? Yeah, I was seeing that.
Yeah. And I was surprised because, I mean, looking at the stats, and Martinez only landed 7 leg kicks, but I don't even remember him throwing more than like 5. But, man, all those boxing was crisp. He was throwing nasty body shots. He was mixing it all up. You can see here, everything was pretty well balanced. But yeah.
He did have that one boxing fight when he was training with Robert Garcia.
Yeah, I
Remember
think,
that?
yeah, he did have, I think, 1 or 2 boxing fights, and he looked really good. I think he fought Jeremy Stevens.
You showed me that. No, but he actually fought like with he. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
And I think he had another boxing fight against like some random person. I can't remember though.
Yeah.
Really? What the heck? I know he was training, but I didn't know he actually had a. Okay.
Yeah, he
Wow.
Oh
had
yeah,
I think
he
2.
looked decent. Yeah, he looked
Yeah,
decent. I mean, there wasn't no higher opposition or anything like that, but he looked good for. He looked like a good, decent, maybe mid-tier amateur.
So better hands than Jake Paul or what?
uh,
form
yeah,
wise, technique wise,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
We
Yeah.
had Alessandro Pantoja. He's been the champ for I think 2. This was his 3rd title fight. I think his 2nd title defense. And then we had Steve Ursag, which is crazy because this guy's had he only had 3 fights going into this title fight, which is not very many. So, and I think he was ranked like number 12. But I believe he took this fight on short notice. I think it was 8 weeks since his last fight, which is another crazy thing. Like he had to make weight.
Mm,
Yeah, like making weight twice in 8 weeks is it's probably not the best idea. Probably not good for your health. But he
that's
made weight.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. But he made the weight, and then he looked. I mean, his cardio was good. He never really looked tired. But yeah, man, this fight really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Like Pantoja is good, but I really think this was Steve Urseg's fight that he should have won, but he kind of just handed it over to Pantoja. Did you guys catch any of this fight?
Yeah, I watched all of it.
No.
You didn't watch any of it, Mikey?
No, I didn't watch any of it. I was stuck on the boxing.
Okay, so I knew Urseg, he was, yeah, like you said, he was ranked 12, so they definitely I mean they had him on the trajectory of like a fast rising up and comer, right, Brandon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's had a couple good knockouts, I think.
So yeah, he was like known for his boxing, but like he's a big guy, man. I think the weight cut in 2 weight cuts within 8 weeks, you think that affected him at all?
I mean, not as much as it should have, because honestly, he looked pretty freaking good. I just think he took the fight too quick. He got the title fight a little bit too quickly, and I think he just wasn't prepared, like experience wise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Pantoja, I'm not a big fan of Pantoja, and I haven't seen a lot of his fights, but I have seen like the Brandon Moreno ones. He seems like a little wild guy, just kind of charging forward, throwing recklessly. And Erwig was, or Ursig, I mean, he was able to catch him with some counters. But for his attributes that he has, I would have liked to see him counter him on the back foot way more, especially for how reckless Pantoja was looking.
Yeah, I think if he had more time to prepare, he would have tried to do like what you just said. Pantoja's just takedowns are just relentless, man. Like you could tell even his Urseg's offense was a little bit hesitant because he didn't want to step forward and then have Pantoja shoot like a double
Mm.
leg or something like that. But how'd you score the fight? Did you score the rounds or were you just watching?
No, yeah, dude, I was eating and watching. I wasn't scoring, but see, it was a back and forth. Pantoja landed some shots that I feel like if Urseg was a little sharper, he shouldn't have caught him going forward. But Pantoja is good at like charging forward and bodying up to drag him down, you know.
Yeah,
Usyk showed like decent defense and being able to get back up. Like I said, I don't know a lot about grappling, but from first sight, he was able to get out of those bad positions relatively quickly.
I think the fighter that landed the more impactful shots, I got to give it to Urseg. Um, I think I gave rounds 1 and 2 to Pantoja, 3 and 4 to Urseg, and then that fifth round, man, it was a close round. But I was giving it to Urseg up until that last minute and a half or 2 minutes where Urseg just literally he just hands the win. He hands the W to Pantoja by shooting for a takedown when when he's out striking him on the feet, and all he has to do is do that for another minute and a half. But instead, he decides to shoot for a takedown, and then I got to give it to Pantoja though. His scrambling skills, his rolling, his reversals, he was just like always one step ahead of Urseg. I mean, there was many times when Urseg was able to escape, but in that last minute and a half, Urseg was trying everything to get up, and Pantoja, you could tell, he could. It's like he had like a sixth sense where he was just every time Urseg tried to move, Pantoja was always maneuvering and taking a dominant position. So I'm as much as I hate to see Urseg lose that way, I mean, got to give it to Pantoja. Just the experience and the overall dominance in the grappling, I think, gave him this win.
Yeah, but I mean, Steve Usyk for Pantoja being the champion, he looked pretty decent. You know, he was maybe winning the fight, so he can contend at a higher level now. He was ranked 12, so maybe he'll be in the top five. You know, maybe above some other dudes that are top five. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. I think this fight definitely is gonna make him level up like 5 levels, and I think he'll be. I mean, he's one fight. Honestly, after that performance, I think he's one fight away from another title shot, especially since he took down a short notice. But yeah, we'll wrap the UFC card up there. That was UFC 301, Pantoja versus Urseg, and now we're gonna move on to Canelo versus Munguia, which was the kind of the Cinco de Mayo card for that Canelo usually always does.
You
We
watched
got
all which fights did you watch, Mikey? Just the Canelo one?
No, I watched the a little bit of Figueroa,
Oh, okay.
Brandon. What's
Figueroa.
his name? Oh, yeah. So sorry.
Okay,
I saw a little bit of that one, and then I saw also. Yep, that's the one I
that one,
saw.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next one.
But the
Yep.
Barrios one. Also, remember
Yeah,
last week we were
Barrios.
talking about last week me and Brandon were talking about this guy Maidana. So it turns out that this guy is what's his name? Chino's Maidana brother, straight up brother.
Yep.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Marcus Maidana or
Yeah,
Marcos.
that's
Marcos, I think his
crazy.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Marcos is his name.
I thought he might put an upset. Just like his brother when he fought against Victor Ortiz.
Mm.
I was like, maybe it might follow the line, but that wasn't the case.
So yeah, this Stanionis guy right here, he is like I think he's an interim. No, actually now that Crawford moved up to 154, I think he's a full-fledged uh 147 champion. So he was like with Virgil Ortiz and around Ennis, he was the third guy that people were kind of hyping up to be like the next champion at the weight class. I don't really know the Maestri guy though. Do you know him, Mikey?
Yeah, I bet one time against him, and since then I've stopped.
What is he, Mexican?
No, I think he was like Russian or Ukrainian.
Oh shit. That seems like an Italian. Oh no, there's a flag. No, he's like from Ecuador.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that
pretty
is
sure
the
that's the Ecuador
Ecuadorian
flag.
flag.
Oh no, I was talking about the other guy. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, Stanionis. Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah, he's like from Belarus or some shit like that. But this
yeah,
fight, he looked like he took it the distance, just beat him with volume. But you said you watched a little bit of the Figueroa fight.
yeah,
This one? Yeah, I
yeah.
knew this was gonna be like a type of war. You think
That's what
about
the people want to see.
what do you think about the performance from Figueroa? He used to be a champion there until Boots Ennis beat him. You think he's gonna? Is he a champion? He's WC champion right now. Yeah, you guys can see this is pretty much like a phone booth fight. What do you think about this, Brandon? Like Figueroa has like a decent height and reach advantage over his intent or opponents in this weight class. What do you think of those people that have an advantage in the they don't take advantage of it?
think if you know how to do it right, I think it's not a bad idea. But obviously, if you're losing the fight that way, I think you gotta make the adjustments. But it looks like he had it down. He was throwing body shots. I mean, like if you're gonna do that, yeah, you definitely want to go for the body shots.
I know you follow Barrios a little bit, Brandon. What do you think about his last performances post Tank Davis fight? So he fought Crawford. Did he? Or I mean, not Crawford. Thurman. Did he fight anybody after
Ugas.
Thurman? Oh, he fought Ugas.
Yeah, Ugas.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he
looked
fought
good.
Ugas. He actually destroyed Ugas.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I
Yeah, Ugas
mean,
was decent.
right, and Barrios looks he's looked really good in all of his previous fights after that one loss he took. He's just game. Like he's strong, got a good chin, good size.
Yeah, is he still with Virgil Hunter, that ex Andre Ward trainer?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he is anymore.
No. I think he might have moved back to Texas.
You know what? I saw him kind of hesitant in this fight. To be honest with you guys, I think
What
he
do you
could have
mean
done a
by
little
that?
bit more. I think it might have been that he would just try to be cautious, not to get caught by something, because Maidana landed some pretty good hooks. I didn't say it rattled him, but it got his attention, so he didn't go all out like we're used to, like when we saw him go against Ugas.
Mm, I see. I mean, he had his eyes closed. He had the black eye, so I could see why he would be hesitant, not pushing the gas pedal too much. What do you guys think
Yeah.
about this Canelo performance, though?
I think Munguia did actually really good. You got to give your hands off to him. Um, but after that knockdown, he got off his whole game plan because started out jabbing pretty good, keeping Canelo kind of at bay,
Yeah.
and something that keeps that affects the Canelo a lot. Contrary to belief, but I think what was his name, Lara. I think Lara, like that's how he was doing. He was jabbing 1-2, move around, jabbing 1-2.
Mhm.
That's kind of what the game plan I see that was for Munguia, because I had him first three rounds he was winning, but after that knockdown in round four, he stopped that.
Right. Yeah.
What do you
Canelo
guys think?
definitely. I think Canelo has more of like a fighting mentality more than a boxing mentality. Some people see that's the uppercut right there, but some people
Mm-hmm.
they just want to score points and win via points, and some other people. I mean, it's hard to box when you're when you're a lot shorter than your opposition. Like boxing usually
Mm-hmm.
requires length and speed. So I feel like Canelo, that's why he's much more of a power puncher now this deep in his career because of the type of opponents he's facing with his height discrepancies. What did you think of the fight, Brandon?
I mean, it's classic Canelo, just the high guard, mixing it up, left hooks to the body, left hook up top, nice uppercuts, good defense. Like he's really mastered that high guard with also mixing in the head movement. Like most fighters, they usually just shell up or their hands down and head movement, but Canelo is able to mix both of them together, and I think we saw that in this fight. And I think that comes to that comes from like being smaller fighter. Like you got to figure out different strategies, different ways to box, and he's the best at that. Honestly, in my opinion, mixing it up.
Yeah. I think he's a true vet, and he knows how to make little movements to take the weight off punches. I don't. I think he takes some of it, but he takes the devastating part of the blow. And because if you're a short guy, and I know this firsthand, if you're a short guy trying to outbox a taller guy, like that's tiring. It takes a lot of athleticism and a lot of a lot of energy because you're doing a lot of explosive movements in and out. Uh, and taller people have an easier time because they don't have to move as much as you do footwork from a footwork perspective. So I think Canelo, his style is like rolling with the punches and taking the the dangerous weight off the punches so he can try to counter in between. I would like to see him punching with the other boxers, simultaneously, kind of like Inoue does a little more, but that's my 2 cents on it. You guys think he's gonna fight Benavidez next?
No,
No. What do you think, Brennan?
no, he is not.
I think I saw he said he wants a good payday for that fight for whatever reason. I'm not sure if it's because he doesn't like Benavidez for some reason or what the reason would be, but I don't think he was that excited for that fight. I'm not sure why though.
So Team Benavidez, they were saying that they had offered Canelo like a bunch of contracts with some money that they later themselves refuted ever have doing that. So I don't know if someone's just using your name for clout. I feel like, and Canelo's all about giving because at the stage of his career, he's all about giving or people he deems that deserve the opportunity to fight him because they're gonna make a lot of money. You know, he gets to choose that a little bit, kind of like Floyd did. So
Right.
who do you think he's gonna fight next, Mikey?
Well, they're saying Berlanga. That's
Oh
what I
my
keep on
God.
hearing, Berlanga. I don't want to see that. I gotta be honest with you. But I mean, like he says, he is Canelo. He picks who he wants, and that would be, I say, a pretty easy fight for him because you've seen Berlanga.
Yeah.
Like respects to him though, he got power, but that's pretty much it.
So in the perfect world, if he doesn't fight Benavidez next, who would you like him to fight?
Probably the winner of Bivol and Better BF, which I don't know if you guys heard, they got postponed.
Really? No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, yeah, Better BF got I believe he got an injury, so they're looking.
I
Who
saw
would you
that.
like
Yeah,
Canelo to fight next, Brandon? If it's not
Um,
Benavidez,
and my answer probably would have been the same thing as Mikey. That I mean, it obviously it's like kind of a hard fight for him because he's moving up a couple weight classes, but that would be exciting to see him fight Bivol versus the winner of Bivol and Benavid or Better Biev. But other than that,
pretty much
I
cleared
want
out the division, bro. To be honest.
yeah, that's what I was on about to say. Like the fighters that I want to see him fight are either a couple weight classes below his or a couple weight classes above. So it kind of makes it hard to argue for those fights.
What do you guys think about a Bud Crawford versus Canelo? You think that could happen maybe? I know Bud was there at the fight.
I think I think Crawford wants that fight badly, but I saw that Canelo's like it's like kind of like not a good fight for him just because he's supposed to win, right? He's too big for him. Because I think Crawford wants to do it at like a catch weight of 158. Canelo's like, I can't make that weight, and then if we do it any higher, then people are gonna be like, what? Like Canelo's supposed to win that fight. He's the bigger guy. Blah blah blah. So he's like, I think he's saying like, there's no real reason for me to take that fight, which makes sense. Like, it's hard to take those fights when everyone's like, oh, Canelo's supposed to win. Then he's like, it's kind of less exciting for him, I guess.
Hopefully he does end up fighting Benavidez though. That would be clutch. But I think
Oh
other
yeah,
than
that's
that
the
in the
fight I want to
boxing
see.
yeah, other than that in the boxing world, we have another amazing fighter fighting tomorrow morning, but it's technically tonight in Japan. Inoue versus Luis Neri, who used to train with Canelo too. What do you guys think about that fight?
it should be good. I really want to see Bandera go for it. Like a classic Japanese versus Mexican. There's a big rivalry there. Shout out to Benito Lopez.
Yeah, you think Luis Neri? You think he has enough skills to beat Inoue, which in my opinion is the number one pound for pound boxer.
Always a puncher's chance. He's gonna have
No,
to
no,
call the
no,
ancestors out for this one.
no. But skill for skill, you think he has a chance?
No,
What about you,
no,
Brennan?
in a ways, a different level.
Based off, I'm not familiar with Neri, but just based off of Inoue's skills, like I don't know, I don't see anybody beating Inoue at Inoue's weight. Obviously, if Inoue keeps moving up higher and higher, then it gets like a little bit dicey. But as long as Inoue's fighting at a comfortable weight class, I think he just keeps knocking these guys out. Like it's his power is just off the charts. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, so this guy right here, Neri, he's Mexican, and He's known to have a little power, but I think it's more volume based power. He's considered to be a boxer puncher too, so he has to box a little bit. You can see he tries to do that little Philly shell. I think he keeps his lead hand a little too low for Inoue. Inoue is too sharp for that shit.
Yeah, I think anyways orthodox, right?
Yeah, he's orthodox, but he has fought. His last two fights have been against southpaws.
Yeah, I think
Not
that's
Boots. I mean, no, Stephen Fulton. My bad. And
Fulton, yeah, Fulton.
yeah, and that guy from Tapales.
Vietnamese dude?
No, no, Tapales.
Oh,
He's dude. That dude has some
Filipino.
power. Yeah,
I
Filipino.
don't know.
Yeah, he's
There you
Filipino.
go.
He had some good power. He knocked out some up and coming dude from Uzbekistan that was like silver medalist and multiple time IBA world champion, but he had a lot of power and the Filipino guy knocked him out. And Inoue just, Inoue does what Inoue does, demolishes literally everybody.
I do kind
He's
of
a
like this Nary
monster.
guy
So
style.
I think for a southpaw though, I think he leaves his lead hand a little too low. You
Yeah.
know,
I was just
if
thinking
you're a
like
southpaw, I was just saying that a southpaw when you're fighting in the open stance, you gotta control the space with your lean hand, and he kind of lets you get to just like right there. He lets the opponent get too close to him, and if I mean, Inoue is really good at closing the gap against southpaws and orthodox people, but he does close the gap faster against orthodox people because it's less space to close. But if you just let Inoue close in without putting anything out there, like Inoue is gonna pick you apart. But what do you like about this guy's style?
I was gonna say like definitely that right hand's obviously gonna be there against a southpaw if he can, because anyways right hand's so good, like his straight right. I was gonna say like if he can just be, I don't think it's gonna happen, but if he can be like not like this, but earlier he was, he was doing like the shoulder roll, he was pivoting, he was being slippery against the ropes. I think if he can do that for and not get tired and not get sloppy over 12 rounds, like I think he can make it a distance. But I mean, the way he looks here, it looks like he's a little bit lazy now, and I don't think you can get away with that against Inoue.
So this guy, right? He's had a promoter or a manager that worked with a lot of promoters in Japan, and he fought like two Japanese champions. And both times, one time he came in like 6 pounds overweight, and the other time he popped for I think it was an anabolic steroid. So the Japanese they don't really like him. If you
yeah, they
look
don't
at
mess with
the
him.
if you look at
Wow.
the top rank videos on YouTube about like their fighters coming up training, like for the fights coming up, they were saying that he popped for a steroid and that he missed weight, and the Japanese people really don't like him. So it's gonna be yeah,
Uh,
I
I
You
think
guys
think the
think it goes the
only
distance or no?
nope,
Nah,
I
probably
don't think
not.
so.
I think the only way you can beat Inoue is if you're like somehow fighting like B-Vol where you're just in and out, like really cautious, really not there to get hit, or if you can somehow be really slippery, kind of like what's his name, Pernell Whitaker, and just be so elusive that you can get away from the power punches. But I mean, obviously you got to be perfect for 12 rounds against Inoue, which is almost impossible.
Yeah, yeah. So the reason why those people are so good, or those people resort to those styles, is because they're like super athletic with their feet. But in a way, is like an anomaly where he's a power puncher, come forward type of fighter, but that's also super fast with the feet. So I think that's why he's been so successful. Because Fulton was known to be like super slippery, good footwork and all that stuff, but you could see in a way just being able to beat him to every punch.
My God, this guy's insane.
They have some
I
power to so they can respect you.
Yeah, true.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely need that. I mean, look at that
Like
straight
the
right.
the
That's gonna
first
be there all
Inoue
night.
fight.
Yeah, you see how when you leave your lead hand as a southpaw low, like that's not a good style. Like not even when Floyd fought southpaws, he didn't resort to the Philly shell. He kept his lead hand high and was always touching the glove.
I don't know if you guys can see this. That punch even lands on the shoulder first. Well, it's just in slow mo. That's some crazy power. It gets deflected slightly and it still fucking does hella damage. See his shoulder vibrate after the punch? Bang right there. Slight
Yeah.
deflection. It's still just straight through and pure. That's crazy.
And he's a good finisher
Oh,
though too, you
yeah,
know.
look at that follow up. Oh my god. He said nope.
Oh no.
He's
Yeah.
so good.
He's all around. That's why I feel like he's the best pound for pound, in my personal opinion. But speaking about PEDs with Neri, uh I know we've been talking about Ryan Garcia for like the past 2 weeks. Since we started the podcast, his name has been coming up. But there's been a PED scandal with his name this past week. Mikey, what do you think about all this crap?
This is so
What's
entertaining, I swear, because you just see the things Ryan says.
yeah,
He
yeah.
is like, if I test positive for a PED, if I took drugs to do this, then I'm gay. He literally said that. Like this guy
Really?
says the funniest stuff ever. Yeah, and but doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, let's get into this. Let's unpack this.
He's definitely been trolling about the whole thing. Brandon, what are your first thoughts about it when you first heard of this happening?
At first, I was like, wow, like that was the last thing I expected, honestly. And then obviously, I was just like, I didn't immediately think like, oh yeah, he's guilty. I was like, well, this isn't like the first time this has happened. Like this happens so many times. Like it happened with Canelo, happened with a lot of UFC fighters. Testing nowadays is like so it can find the smallest amounts. It's like super accurate and but like a lot of these fighters they test positive for something and then after a thorough investigation, a lot of the times it's like tainted supplements or some weird thing with their body and like for whatever reason popped a positive sample or test. So honestly, like I still don't know what to think about this. It's still the same as it was initially. Like I'm just still trying to wait for more information because I mean they changed the rule in UFC where they don't even notify the public about a positive drug test until the entire investigation is completed and they've figured out exactly why they tested positive. Did you guys know about that?
No, but I think that's really
No.
smart. I think that's really smart.
Yeah, because initially they every time a fighter tested positive, it would be released, but then like so many fighters were getting like kind of like all this hate, just like Ryan Garcia is getting. So I think the UFC changed the rule where they don't notify anybody until the complete thing is over. Like, and sometimes they don't even say until after that fighter's um, suspension or withholding period's over. So they won't even say it until like 6 months later, stuff like that. So which I think is right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good for the fighters that had trace amounts of PEDs. So Mikey was the first one that actually he sent us a message in the group chat. I woke up like at 4:30 or something, and I saw that he sent us the message about the Ryan Garcia popping. But this isn't like a technical pharmacological podcast or anything. But I think because like Ryan's name is on the line. I do want to get into the pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics of these two drugs that he popped for just a little bit, not too technical, but just a little bit because like when this information first came out, like you saw like every like almost all boxers and like boxing heads saying that Ryan Garcia should be banned for life. Like people, like they don't deserve to be in the sport. But I think there's a little more nuance than most of those people think there is, and that just comes because uh, pharmacology is like really complicated. You know, not everybody knows the literature on these substances. What do you think about that? People just blindly saying that Ryan Garcia should be banned and because he's a cheater.
Yeah, I think it's pretty premature. Like I want to get into like to what possible scenarios could cause this. Like so I watched this video of this guy that I think his name's like More Plates, More Dates or something weird like that, where he's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he like knows like about all about steroids, like he reads like a bunch of stuff about it. So he was saying like for this chemical compound that he took, ostarine, it doesn't make sense why he would take that the day before the fight. And he said because first of all, it can show up super easily in a drug test. So for him to take that the day before a fight, he's just like that would be completely stupid of him, right? Second, the benefits of ostarine
Wait,
is are kind
wait,
of like a long
before you get
term.
into that,
Oh yeah,
before you get into that, I think we should like review because a lot of people don't know how VADA and WADA testing actually works. So they get tested weeks coming into the fight on a weekly basis, and then they get tested. And these tests are urinalysis, the urine test, and then they get one test before the fight, and then one test after the fight. So these urinalysis, they look for metabolites of different compounds, and but if a urinalysis pops, then they have to do a secondary test, which is an isotope spectrometry, and that's how you can differentiate between different chemical structures. But yeah, I think people don't really know how tests work and the time frame of things, so I just wanted to put that in there. Continue.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. So they get tested way before the fight, like several times. So he was saying like this compound, like he would have got flagged for it if he was taking it way before the fight date, because he said the amount you would have to take for it to be effective would by far like it would pop up. It's that easy, like it's that detectable. So he's saying he doesn't think he was taking this before the fight. So and then he's like, so why would he take this right before the fight when he knows it would show up and it would have virtually no benefit because it's like a compound that um, it works to build muscle. Doesn't really like give you any performance boost just taking it one time right before a fight. Um, it might, but he said um, if he was trying to hide it, you would the amount he would take would be so small it wouldn't do anything. But I don't know for sure how much he flagged for. But yeah, he was just saying the scenarios that played out for him, how easy it is to be detected, and the amount you'd have to take for it to provide any benefit. He said it would be way too easily flagged, and he would immediately test positive. So he's like, this would be like the last compound that any professional athlete would want to take. One of the worst ones you would want to take for a performance enhancement. He said, there's really no performance gain if you're going to take it right before the fight. It's so easily detectable, and you'd have to take quite a bit um, for it to do anything. And obviously, the more you take, the easier it is to be detected. So, yeah, I mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys think
So
about it?
Austrian is its arms. It's not androgenic, so it doesn't have steroidal properties, meaning that it'll make you it will increase male characteristics in a biological specimen. And he did pop for what was it? Non-androsterone, which is a metabolite of nandrolone, which that is like the most widely used androgenic anabolic steroid pretty much in every other sport where it's known for people to use PEDs. That's pretty much the go-to anabolic steroid because it's very bioidentical to like endogenous, meaning that the body produces it, androgens like testosterone, but it doesn't androgenize the body, so it doesn't give you like the loss of hair or beard, or if females take it, it doesn't give you as much of a deep voice as testosterone would. So that's why that's the number one used performance enhancing. Oh, and it's up to par with testosterone on like the bone density increase and muscle mass increase. But yeah, like you were saying, Ostarine, you gotta take 1 microgram of Ostarine for it to be detected for 9 days. So Ostarine was like a fast tracked pharmaceutical. Well, it's not a FDA approved pharmaceutical, but it's in the pipeline right now to be approved for muscle wasting disease like sarcopenia in people that are aging or muscle wasting. with people with cancer. So in the clinical literature, it's been used from 1 milligram to 100 milligrams in a cycle. So it has to be taken over a period of time. For a performance enhancing boost that would be adequate for a sport scenario, you would have to take 10 milligrams. So I guess that's why we have to wait to see what the amounts are from the spectrometry test to see if it's even performance enhancing doses, you know? What do you think, Mikey?
For this to actually work for him, he had to take it since the beginning of the camp, right? So, and he was getting tested towards that during that time. We didn't get anything. So either he's the dumbest person we know, or something's up. Because if he took it like recently towards the fight, it wouldn't really have that effect that I guess he was trying to get or something. So it wouldn't make much sense. You get what I'm saying?
For
Yeah.
Osterid, yes. For the nandrolone metabolite, that actually the body produces it endogenously. It's a precursor to estrogen. So we would have to wait and see what the spectrometry test says for that one too, because there are some genotypes, meaning that people have genetic differences that some
Hmm.
people overproduce nandrolone or underproduce nandrolone. So if he's like one of those phenotypes, genotype to phenotype that overproduces nandrolone, then he could have popped based on the ratio there in the urinalysis. So I think that's why people are they're kind of being a little too aggressive with him, and I think they should wait to see the results of the test. And that's why the UFC not mentioning it to the public until the full like report is
Investigation's
finished.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's why it's good for the fighters because there are cases where fighters they ingest some contaminated, and that's a whole different thing, which I think fighters should be better about the supplements they take because there are NSF supplements, so all NSF supplements are third party tested and they are clean. They If I was a fighter that made millions of dollars, I wouldn't be messing with that any supplements. I believe Ryan was blaming it on the ashwagandha. What do you guys think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, man, like, yeah, in the UFC was a big problem with so many supplements were getting popped for contamination, and I think the possibility of that is pretty likely that he could have popped because of that, if that is valid, like if he was actually taking that supplement, and because I think the one that he showed was not third party tested or anything, which is, I mean, man, like you got to be smarter than that to be taking
Yeah.
something like that. So, man, yeah, these fighters got to be careful, but I think it's just so early. Like they've got to. I think they should do a thorough investigation and test every single supplement that he took. And if any of them popped for the same thing, I think that should be what is released immediately versus like just showing a positive test.
Yeah. I mean, even if it happens to be a trace amount from contamination of a supplement or whatever. But nandrolone, there's high contamination in pork meat too. And if you go on, like, even if you do a regular Google search and go on WebMD, it says right there that Austrian has a high capacity for contamination in like weightlifting supplements that you would find literally like at Walgreens. But yeah, you see, it's a proprietary extract, so that means that it's not third party tested. So that's pretty much you just pick that up at like your local Walmart, and you're subject to like
You know
the
what's in it.
laboratory that I was worked at. Yeah, you know what those labs, they're
They're not
mixing
tested.
they're using the same equipment for a bunch of different compounds.
Yeah, and I
But yeah,
guess
I think
this supplement, it makes sense that he would be taking this right before a fight when he's cutting weight and then got all the media like maybe like a stress supporting supplement. I guess that kind of makes sense why he'd be taking that. But obviously we don't know what else he was taking too.
yeah. So I'm not trying to like give a pass to Ryan, but I just think that we gotta be fair. You know, we gotta people should wait and see what the spectrometry test indicates.
Yeah, and see what's going on with him. Did you guys see how Tank is defending him? Yo, I was
But
weak. He literally told him, he's like, "You better not be on some bullshit, because if you are, I'm finna whoop you." He's like, no, I'm straight, but we could run it back if you want.
Yeah, dude. Tank's also a little bit of a troll nowadays.
Yeah, and then Ryan replied like he actually does want that rematch in a real boxing fight. So that's the fight that I want to see.
Yeah, so also another name that is associated with this scandal is Connor. You guys saw that Connor tweet because Mikey, you were the one that sent it to us. What do you guys make of all that?
He jumped the gun. Like I don't know what's Connor. He was going too harsh on them, especially on like we don't even know it's confirmed like 100%. But he was like, he should be banned forever.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like even if it's a tainted supplement scenario, like Ryan's name is people are gonna remember him like the guy that cheated, because like I said, people don't really know about pharmacology, about PEDs that deeply. So it's just easy to point fingers, especially if he just be like your favorite fighter.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
threw
yeah,
me
you're
off
right.
guard. I don't know why Connor said all that, especially when he was on. I'm pretty sure he was on the juice when he was recovering from his broken leg.
Oh yeah, most
Yeah,
definitely.
he said it indirectly that he was on the juice. But one thing that did surprise me is that he included Sean O'Malley's name on there for using a SARM too. The same SARM, actually, Austrian. I didn't know
Yeah,
Sean was associated with any SARM use.
I think it was twice.
Really?
Yeah, he got popped. I think it was a supplement, like a tainted supplement or something like that. Though I don't think he was actually taking it.
And how long ago was this? I was not aware of that.
Oh, this was a long time ago. This was like right at the beginning of his career. Like, I think he had like one or two fights in the UFC, and then he had to take like it was like 6 months to a year off because of the positive drug test. But
Really?
yeah. But what caught me off guard was why I thought him and O'Malley were kind of cool. I don't know if you ever saw like the videos of them talking, and like Sean's
Yeah.
always said good things about Connor, so I don't know why he said that.
He was
And I
cool with
thought
both of them.
Yeah, like Connor was there after the tank. He was at the tank fight with Ryan
Oh
in
yeah,
the dressing room. Remember? He was
yeah,
telling
Yeah.
Ryan that like Tank was put some bullshit with the rehydration clause or whatever. He wanted to see the rematch. And when he tweeted when Ryan beat Taney that Ryan looked good and all this and that, and then all of a sudden it must be one of those coke hinges.
for real. I mean, maybe part of me is like he's just saying all this because every time there's a UFC card or a huge boxing fight, he'll always tweet out, always like try to stay kind of obviously he's Connor, he doesn't need to, but he's just trying to stay relevant. Or maybe he's trying to distract the fact that there was all this hate coming towards him when he was on the juice. So maybe he's trying to, in a way, he's like deflecting that, and like he's trying to be like trying to make everyone forget about that. I don't know. You never know with this guy.
It reminds
Yeah,
me
it's
of
weird.
a little bit of Floyd. No, every time there's a fight, Floyd always has something to say too.
Yeah, I thought Ryan's
You know,
comeback is pretty funny.
O'Malley said he tweeted out saying send the jet.
Oh, for the spar.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But
That's like a little good dream fight, no? O'Malley versus Connor.
yeah, dude, that'd be sick. And then I wanted to go over this reply from Ryan. He said,
Oh yeah,
He said, if I see Conor McGregor, I'm gonna break your weak ass ankle. You ran from being tested because you're on roids. And then the funny part I thought was funny, he said, Conor McGregor had this new movie called Roadhouse, and he said, Roadhouse for roid rage. I was like, that's good. That's pretty good.
Yo, Ryan's a good troll, so it's funny.
Yeah.
at first I thought it was a little lame, but like it's been getting better. He just needed a little practice.
He's coming out of his shell now. Do you guys see the Haney interview?
No, I didn't, but I heard about it. What did he say?
They just asked him like, with everything going on with Ryan, how he tested or he popped for PEDs, like, would you want a rematch? And he was like, nope, no rematch. And I was like, regardless, you don't want it again. That's why, because
Yeah.
maybe you want to double back like Cotto did with Margarito. Once he found out that he had those tainted raps, he's like, we got to run it back. Like,
Mm,
wouldn't you want to get it back?
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
And I thought it was
He
so
felt those
lame of them.
punches.
Like Bill and Devin, especially Bill Haney, his dad, immediately as soon as they saw that, um, they were like, "Oh my!" They just completely blamed the entire loss on them. Like, you guys are soft. Like I mean, I guess like if he actually was on PEDs, sure, but obviously it's too early to be saying all that.
Yeah, and that's why like I keep repeating it, but what the UFC is doing is smart because it takes away all this. But then again, this keeps the name. This is like entertainment for us too a little bit. Although with the health of a man getting beat by someone on PEDs is not entertaining, you know, like it shouldn't be. But there's actually one last quick thing that I have in mind here. So when I was reviewing, I had to go back and review the literature on PEDs and SARMs and androgens a little bit for this. But I saw an article that said, I believe like 12 years ago, uh, WADA was thinking about making weight cutting. Well, they essentially wanted to say that weight cutting is equivalent, if not more, performance enhancing than using PEDs. What do you guys think about that?
Man, like it honestly like these guys that are cutting 30, 40 pounds and rehydrating all of that before the fight, like that is kind of taking advantage of the rules and kind of bending the rules. And I mean, it's just unfair when you have someone of like a more suitable stature for a certain weight class and then some guy that's like very noticeably a lot bigger, a lot stronger, can just drain all of his weight down and then weigh the same weight for 1 minute and then immediately go and rehydrate, like, and then weighs in like 10, 15 pounds heavier than his opponent. I think that does honestly it would that would be more performance enhancing than taking certain drugs or whatever. But I don't know. It's part of the game, and I think like I would like to see less weight cutting and more kind of like one championship does. Like you can only like uh, go certain. I don't know how they do it, like rehydration or something like that. I would like to see that,
Yeah.
but it gets tricky. I mean, maybe we would see less matchups if they did that. So I guess it would kind of take away from some fights, but I don't know.
Yeah, so to put it into perspective, right? If you're taking PEDs to enhance your performance for an upcoming fight, so if you do it like the right way by using a compound that is has good pharmacokinetics and that is not detectable, you know, with the current test being used, you usually gain an advantage of like 10 pounds of lean muscle mass. So however you're built, if you're an explosive guy, that's obviously going to help you like you said, weight cutting, when you rehydrate, you gain like threefold that amount. So essentially it's like three times more performance enhancing than taking these compounds. I thought that it was crazy when I read that literature. I'm not sure why they didn't add it as a banned behavior. It wouldn't be a banned substance, but it would be a banned behavior. But if you look back into like the sports medicine literature, they've been trying to ban weight cutting for a long time, especially because back in the day, a lot of people used to die a lot more. You know, science has gotten a lot better now with the rehydration science and whatnot, but I thought that was important.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think they're gonna ban that. I don't think
but
you
it's
can because that's how you make classes. Some people can't make that weight, but only for a certain time. And there won't be a lot of fights going on.
no, yeah, I get it. Um, But I think if you're gonna allow that blatant cheating, then might as well allow PED use, you know. And then if you allow blatant PED use, now you can work well. Or you can't allow all like anabolic androgenic steroids because they're not like FDA approved or whatever. But like allow the substances that give you an indirect performance enhancing boost, you know, and then if you're being supervised by a doctor, it'll be a lot safer than the people that do it underground. But I just feel like if you're
Mm,
gonna allow weight cutting, might as well allow some of the performance enhancing supplements that are approved by the FDA.
but weight cutting is really dangerous also.
Oh yeah, and that's why the similarities between weight cutting and using performance enhancing supplement or drugs is like very similar because it's dangerous in the long run, but it acutely gives you like a performance enhancing boost, you know?
Yeah, yeah, boost. Yeah, boost.
Yeah,
So
I think in MMA, uh, it's a huge problem, especially when you're a wrestler. Like when you see Islam Makhachev walk in there, the dude's like 200 pounds and he's fighting at 155. And when you're wrestling with someone, if you weigh 10 pounds heavier than them, that's huge advantage.
imagine if there was a drug that gave you like a 50 fold increase. I mean, I'm sorry, a 50-pound increase in lean muscle mass overnight. Like that blows every performance enhancing drug out of the water, and that's essentially what cutting weight for Makhachev is. You know?
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. You can put it in that perspective, that's horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah. The dude's just huge. It's crazy how much bigger he looks against all of his opponents. It was the same thing
yeah.
with Khabib.
I mean, they are doing that. Those games like that are gonna compete against the Olympic Games. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's the games where they're being supervised under physicians, where they could use like
Oh
approved
yeah.
performance enhancing substances to do sports to see. You know, I feel like a lot of people are doing that. There's so many ways to cheat. If you know pharmacology a little bit, you know with the holes in the test that we went over today and the designer um anabolic steroids. But yeah, that's my 2 cents when it comes to weight cutting and PEDs. But other than that, I think we hit everything.
So yeah, that wraps things up for this third episode of Pound for Pound Combat Sports Podcast. Drop a like, comment what you guys think about any of these topics that we discussed. This last topic is to be continued. We're gonna keep talking about this whole PD scandal. That'll be probably in at least episode 4 and 5, and then we got UFC 302 coming up. So yeah, got some exciting fights. Got some more exciting boxing cards we kind of went over last week, and yeah, I can't wait. So, thanks for watching.